And now I would like to shift focus to a higher plane. Now, I was trying to figure out to work into cannabis, higher green.
I wondered what you're doing.
Yeah, no, it didn't work. But anyway, let's talk about this cannabis.
Yeah.
But yeah, talk me through this. What's the strategy here?
Yeah. So cannabis rolled out legalization with the Canadian companies. Was it 2015, 2016, something like that? Stock's simplistic because the investment world figured that, everyone smokes cannabis. Everyone loves it. Everyone's going to want it. It's going to be hugely profitable. The problem is no one ever actually bothered to look at the rules of the game, right? And the rules of the game are Canadian cannabis is locked in Canada. It ain't coming to the U.S. The U.S. does not have a cannabis market. It has 50 individual states with 50 individual sets of rules. So there are no economies of scales in cannabis right now on a national level. In Canada, there is, but there's no Canadian companies, honestly, that I think are really worth investing in because the regulations in Canada, it's inefficient. Let's call it that way. Let's not insult the Canadians. Let's call it inefficient. Lousy regulations make for lousy business structure. And if you look at the fundamental results of the Canadian companies versus the U.S. companies, it's night and day. So I wouldn't even touch any Canadian cannabis companies right now with a 10-foot pole. In the States,
even though Canada has a marijuana leaf on their flag.
Even though they do, they were the first country to legalize it. It's readily accessible, readily available. But the problem is you have private production of cannabis in Canada, very laissez-faire, very few regulations, very few restrictions, very few limits on it. So if you're going to buy cannabis stocks, buy the large US-based MSOs. Be prepared to hold them for a couple of years. If you like the MSOS ETF, there's the YOLO ETF. Find the one, and I haven't done the research, I apologize. Find the one that has the most US-based companies in it. You want to eliminate your Canadian companies as fast as possible from this equation because when it goes legal in the US, money will pour into these companies like we have never seen in any industry at all. So you got your Trulieve out of Florida, right? You want to look for US-based ones. Trulieve is the big one in Florida. The one I have right now that I love, there's two that I have right now that I love. Number one is a REIT, IIPR. Okay. It is the only publicly traded pure cannabis REIT on the market. They operated primarily in the medical side. They're going into the adult use side now. We bought them on value plays. We bought it in 2019. They had about 11 properties. It was about $35 a share. Now they're at about 111 properties. Last I looked, it was around $100 a share. We're getting a 12% dividend yield right now. The dividend's grown so fast. The current dividend yield's about 8% on this thing, and it's a REIT. And it's kicking off cash left and right. They just raised the dividend 20% year over year. So as a cash play, my subscribers, we're getting 11% cash dividend every year on this sucker. I think this thing's, it was as high as 285 last year. I think it can easily eclipse that based on the fact that they're the only player in the market right now that's in that space. Another little company that I like is called Glass House out of California. I own the warrants, GW Glass House Brands, GHBWF is the name of the warrants. They're dirt cheap right now. They have a great management team. They are going to be probably the largest low-cost producer in California of legal cannabis, and they've acquired some really top-shelf dispensaries. So when I look at them as a Starbucks of dispensaries, right? They're going to have premium flower. They're going to control their supply with very low-priced cannabis, and they have very nice dispensaries where they're not going to have to be competing on price, right? So Starbucks is never the cheapest coffee anywhere, but people flock the doors because of the product and the quality of the product they have. I think Glass House is creating the same thing. Glass House is the only plant-touching cannabis stock that I own right now. I bought the warrants. I think there's 5 years left on the warrants. In the next 5 years, cannabis will be legal.